Hi, this is Marcos, and I'm from Baytown, Texas.
Baytown, Texas. Marcos, thanks for calling in. How are things down in Texas right now?
Well, I'd say they're definitely not good.
Yeah,
Um, I have a lot of people that I know that are currently without power, and the heat is, ramping up. It's been ramping up since the storm passed through, and it's been kind of, it's been kind of a pattern where the Republican leaders find a way to not be here when these things go down.
right.
Like Greg Abbott is, I think, in Japan right now.
Yeah, he's on vacation. I
At
saw.
least he was in Korea, but maybe he's moved on to
Yeah,
Japan. But I mean, Ted Cruz famously going down to Cancun.
Cancun, and the lieutenant
Yep.
governor, Dan Patrick, has been doing all the announcements.
Yeah, which, I mean, I don't think they've been doing too good of a job. And one thing about that story that's actually a little ironic is Greg Abbott is currently part of his little convoy is a bunch of people from Centerpoint Energy, which is the big energy company that's responsible for the area,
Right.
the Houston area. And they've just been doing a real terrible job of keeping people up to date and aware of what's going on with the process of restoring power, which, I mean, sure, it's a natural disaster. It's a little bit unavoidable, but before the storm came through, the governor had promised that they were going to be prepared, that they had large amounts of workers and trucks and all that in the area, staged in the area, prepared to quickly restore power. And I've personally been super worried because Baytown is 30 minutes away from Houston. It's on the east side, and this area and the areas around it weren't hit that hard. So we've had power, but my girlfriend and all her family is in Houston, and they've been struggling these past few days. No power, and like I said, the heat has been going up and up and up. And then, of course, it's really humid because both of the storm coming through and just dumping a bunch of rain on us. And then the fact we're just so close to the sea. And I don't know, if they don't work to get things restored quickly, I feel we're going to start seeing a lot of people getting, heat stroke and stuff like that. So that's been something that's really been worrying me lately.
100%. I appreciate the update, Marcos. Thank you.
Yeah, and I don't know. The one thing that just confuses me is that it seems every time something like this happens, the people in charge, the Republicans in charge of the state, are less and less prepared.
Yeah.
And
it's going to keep
somehow
happening more.
they never get the blame for it. I don't understand how this keeps happening and they never get the blame for it.
Well, I think, honestly, the interview that I did with Genevieve Gunther earlier is maybe a good place to start, to change the way that we talk about climate politics in a way that is much more actionable and less about some sort of passive tragedy.
Because the owners of the what is it, Central Point or whatever, the Houston
Centerpoint Energy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all private equity that got together and bought the utility after deregulation. It's the same reason why no one can pay rent. It's private equity, conspiratorial capital coming in and leeching everything. And it's crazy. Because in Texas, you had the thing where there was a cold snap and the power was out too. It's the state most known for energy
Yeah.
in our country regularly has people without power that puts their lives at risk and literally it causes deaths. I don't know how many deaths we're going to see here. We saw deaths with that cold snap thing in Louisiana. You were hearing about people stuck in the fifth floor of buildings that hadn't had power for days and were in wheelchairs, so they couldn't get down because of the elevators were out. This country's falling apart right now, and it would be nice if we had somebody who wasn't just obsessed with fucking NATO all the time that could elaborate some of these failings. But we don't. We have a Democratic Party that is absolutely asleep at the wheel and paralyzed by a sort of collective action problem that remains uncertain if they'll be able to solve.
Appreciate the
Yeah,
call.
well, I have one quick other point. It's one thing that's worrying me is the fact that these areas are really conservative, and conservatives love their conspiracy theories, and I'm worried that there's been a lot of conspiracy theories over the years driven by conservatives, like casting doubt on like things like FEMA, for example, that make me worried that a lot of people that could be getting help in the next couple of days, because I know they just declared it like a disaster area through FEMA, might avoid getting help they really need because they've had like this doubt casted upon them, or they've been painted as like this evil organization that's like going to use any information you give them to like.
We say that about
intentions.
Anti-vaxxers, right? And how they've undercut trust in public health for a really long time. I just want to get to another caller from the area, Marcus. So sorry to push you off.
Yes, I appreciate it. No, it's all good. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks so much. Calling from a 713 area code. I believe this is Texas. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hi, is this me?
This is you.
Hi, my name is Aaron. I'm from Houston. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry. I called a couple months ago in regards to Bill Maher, and you guys were waiting for me for like, oh my gosh, it had to have been like a whole minute. You guys were waiting for me.
Oh, don't worry about it. I mean, see, we wouldn't have known.
I'm still thinking about it, Aaron.
Well, we're still so mad at you.
Yeah, so I just wanted to reiterate everything the last caller just said. Things are honestly pretty terrible in Texas. I myself was very fortunate to get power back, but a close friend of mine that lives in the same neighborhood as me, right down the street, just got his power back yesterday, and I had my power back 2 days before him. Or a day before him. I'm sorry.
How hot is it down there?
3 whole days.
Yeah, what are people having to do to like, deal with the heat? I mean, it's been hot in New York, and I've had to put in my air conditioner finally after holding out. Like, I can't imagine being in Houston.
You got to go sit in your car, and if you don't have a car, then you're screwed. It's 97 degrees right now.
Without humidity accounted for.
Yeah, right. So when you add all the moisture in with that, it's unbearable. It's really unbearable. Your home can get up to like 85 degrees, and 85 degrees inside your house is just outrageous, I mean, people have like medical conditions and stuff, and it's really, really terrible.
There's no basements.
And like what Matt was, there's no basements. Like what Matt was saying, everything is privatized. ERCOT is totally scamming us. I mean, we are getting ripped off. They're just taking our money and putting it in their pockets, and they're not giving anything back. And people are dying, and they just don't give a crap. It's really, really terrible down here. I mean, and Greg Abbott, he doesn't care either. Like you guys said, he's on fucking vacation right now. What the hell is that? It's outrageous what we're dealing with.
It's outrageous. It is.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
Thanks for the call, and stay safe, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Love Majority Report. Left is best.
Appreciate you.
It's stories like this, times like this, that I always, I think about how climate change is already here, and how people feel so comfortable with like thinking that the United States is just going to be like completely insulated from those effects, when large swaths of the country are already basically uninhabitable without like advanced HVAC systems. Like it's been 115 degrees in Las Vegas, Florida, California. Like people pretend like this stuff isn't already happening, because in some of those places you can go inside sometimes and cool down, but all it takes is like a power grid failing, and suddenly like the entirety of a town is uninhabitable because of the heat.
I think about like a lot of retirees that go to Phoenix or go to Arizona, and what happens if there's a power grid failure in 120 degree heat.
Right. I mean, like the Hurricane Katrina, like America is not prepared to really deal with this stuff, and it is like you're on your own in such a horrible way. It's crazy.
Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.